What?
Is this some kind of incest thing?
No.
Then what the is this?
If you're thinking about a TV show that pushes all the boundaries that you know for television, then I'm sure you're thinking of The Boys, right? And sure, this TV show is truly something. But when you stack it up against Garth Ennis's original comic run, you'll see that the Amazon adaptation is actually really cautious. And rightfully so, because the source material has moments that were so ugly, uncomfortable, disgusting, that it's better to quietly bury them than to try to adapt them. So where did The Boys TV series draw the line? Well, that's what we'll talk about today. Join us as we count down 7 relationships from The Boys comics that the show refused to adapt. Soldier Boy and Homelander. One of the biggest reinventions of the TV show has to be the relationship between Soldier Boy and Homelander. Because in the comics, Soldier Boy is not trauma-scarred. He is an insecure and vain, power-hungry man whose whole sense of self has been constructed around his proximity to whoever is in power. And in Soldier Boy's eyes, that person is Homelander. Their relationship is a particularly toxic celebrity worship. Like, Soldier Boy just wants attention from Homelander no matter what, and Homelander literally treats Soldier Boy like he treats background noise. Sounds humiliating, right? But here's the thing. Garth Ennis leans into it. He explores this dynamic between them in detail, especially in Herogasm #1, where we find out they have an explicit sexual relationship. Soldier Boy wants to be in the 7, and Homelander basically manipulates him into having sex with him. He has no intention of letting Soldier Boy into the 7, but he uses that as an excuse to have an intimate relationship with Soldier Boy every year. The TV show decided to replace all of that with family tragedy. Homelander is Soldier Boy's biological son, and this is a dramatically richer choice for long-term television. But you gotta admit, the argument between the two versions of the relationship is very different. I mean, Ennis decided to make Soldier Boy the way he did to make a point about how superhero culture affects the people who are in proximity to power, but not the one who has the power. The show instead wants to focus on something personal and emotionally legible. Both work, but they aren't saying the same thing. The Legend and Queen Maeve. This is an interesting dynamic. In the TV show, the Legend is a character who is included in a very limited capacity. He's this Hollywood producer kind of dude who knows everything about everything. However, in the comics, his role is a lot bigger. You see, in the comics, he is the most cynical figure in the entire roster. He is an ancient entertainment industry insider who has spent decades building all the superheroes up. So he knows everything about everything, and his connection with Queen Maeve is very structural. He's the man who basically kept the machine running, and Maeve is the part that got discarded after use. In the comic books, Maeve is in deep addiction and disillusionment. The system has chewed her up and spat her out, and she is past the point where redemption would make sense. And then, on top of that, Ennis gives us a treat. Turns out, Blarney Cock, an aggressively offensive Irish hero that we'll get to shortly, is the biological child of the Legend and Queen Maeve. While it would have been nice to see the toxic relationship between the face of the machine and the part of the machine displayed on TV, I'm happy the TV show took a different route. I always felt sorry for Queen Maeve. She deserved a chance to win and have agency. So this is a sustainable choice for a multi-season television series to make sure audiences can invest in her over time. Tech Knight and his sidekicks. The show's version of Tech Knight is very memorable because he's a man whose psychology has completely curdled beneath the polished exterior of his billionaire superhero persona. It feels very grounded and real when you see him on screen. Then you have the source material. Here, Tech Knight develops a brain tumor that causes him to have uncontrollable sexual compulsion towards, well, everything around him. Doesn't matter what it is, he doesn't discriminate. His relationship with his sidekick Ladio and other assistants and staff quickly becomes impossible to maintain because he has no self-control. And in a moment of clarity, he sent everyone away because he just couldn't stop himself. He wanted to remove the temptation, and that's a rare moment in the Boys comic. Now, when you read it in the comics, it's so easy to dismiss it as Ennis just seeing how far he can push the premise. But there's actually a very particular satirical argument that he was pushing towards. See, Tech Knight is a parody of the Batman and Iron Man archetypes. That if you have extraordinary wealth and you have extraordinary discipline, you will have something admirable. But that's not really true because the discipline is quite literally a performance that is underwritten by money. Blarney Cock and his hamster. Look, I wasn't sure whether the TV show would cover it or not when the show was announced, but I knew for sure that Blarney Cock would not be adapted from the source. As I mentioned, Blarney here is an offensive caricature. He is literally the kind of character that real-world IP factories would create and then somehow always find an excuse to defend. So, keeping that in mind, Ennis decides to take that joke further than any television production would ever attempt, or should attempt, and the specifics involve the man's pet hamster. Yep, that's all you're getting from me. Because we want the channel to stay monetized, thank you. But I will give you a clue. If you replace the word hamster with gerbil, and then put it in present continuous, well, you get what I mean. Now here's the thing. Why did Ennis go for that? Well, the answer is simple. It was to criticize the company and its roster. Vought would fight tooth and nail to protect the members of the company, but the entire roster is full of genuinely stupid and straightforwardly depraved heroes. And the system, instead of calling them out on their behavior and holding them responsible, shields them repeatedly because they have the licensing revenue. As long as that licensing revenue is up, they will shield them. Blarney Cock is the logical outer limit that goes on to prove that Vought's main priority will always be image management. The TV show completely removed him, and sadly, the satirical argument the character was making is lost along with it. Mother's Milk and his mother. Out of all the main characters, I would say that the most emotionally thorough origin story Ennis wrote was for Mother's Milk. So we know how Vought is, right? Vought doesn't care about anything other than the results they're going for, right? And in one of their many callous actions, Mother's Milk's mom was exposed to compound V. This exposure completely altered her biology, and Mother's Milk, as an infant, got exposed to compound V through her milk. As a result of it, he ended up with a dependency that was never fully resolved. So even as an adult, he needs it from his mother. He has to be breastfed. And there is a certain tragedy to this relationship, no? Because his entire existence was altered by Vought. And Vought never took responsibility for it, and that's horrifying. I mean, we call him Mother's Milk because of his dependency, so this whole thing changed his own identity and his relationship with his mother, and the show decided to hold on to the emotional architecture. His family trauma, his sense of responsibility, all remain where they were, but thankfully in a much more family-friendly way. Monkey and paraplegic women. Now, Monkey is Joe Kessler in the TV show, who's basically a supporting character. In the comics, he was a CIA analyst who was utilized by Butcher for intelligence gathering. And just like It's Another Tuesday, we learn that Monkey has a sexual fixation on paraplegic women and disabled female athletes. This is presented like just another fact, and this too has a satirical function to it in a way. I feel that Monkey is here as a broader argument that the agencies that are working day and night to keep people safe are actually staffed by people who are so messed up that they shouldn't be in that position of authority or power. The intelligence community in Ennis's reading is just another hierarchical system that's filled with compromised individuals with messed up personal lives and choices. However, since they can demonstrate competence on the outside, they're rewarded for it. That shouldn't be the case, but here we are. Plus, let's be real. Comic Monkey has some really questionable encounters across the panels. I'm glad we are not getting the TV adaptation of how he got his nickname in the first place. Butcher and Susan Rayner. Out of all the relationships we've mentioned in our list so far, this one has to be the most subtle. Let me explain. In the comics, Butcher and CIA Deputy Director Susan Rayner have a personal history. They've been involved for the longest time. Rayner's the one who's technically overseeing the boys, and Butcher is the operative who treats this very oversight as an obstacle. There are two people completely shaped by their past, and neither of them trust the other. Despite that, they keep working together. And through this relationship, we get to know more about how Butcher manipulates people. See, Butcher is someone who likes to weaponize personal connection. He knows that relationships are leverage, and he uses them with the same calculating instinct on everything around him. This dynamic with Rayner is one of those few places in the comics where Butcher can't go through it, you know? She is someone who has real institutional authority. She doesn't need his approval or charm. harm, so she sees through the manipulation clearly. And thanks to her, Butcher is placed in a situation that, for once, is out of control. So he has no choice but to be honest to a degree, which is the most revealing thing Butcher could have done. The show knows that Butcher is a complex character, but they choose to save it for Becca and Huey instead of doing it with Rayner, because his relationship with Huey and Becca carries more dramatic weight for the audience. This decision makes a lot of sense from a television producer's perspective, but Butcher's relationship with Rayner would have given us a new layer of him, and I wish we had gotten to see it. I'm sure Carl Urban would have carried that emotional beat without any problem. And there we have it, guys. The 7 relationships that are exclusive to the Boys comics. I like how some of these excluded moments were either a specific unruly argument Ennis was making on purpose, or something that got replaced by better emotional moments in the TV show. Let us know in the comments which relationship you knew for a fact would not get adapted for the TV show in the comments below. And like and subscribe as always, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye!